Suffering is never the desire of anybody. It is not a good thing to experience as humans. In fact, when our loved ones see us suffering, or when they see a particular calamity coming our way, they will try their possible best in order to rebuke us from experiencing or encountering such. And this is practically seen in the experience between Peter and Jesus, as seen in Matthew's Gospel chapter 16 from verse 21 to 22, where Jesus told his disciples that the Son of Man will have to suffer many things from the elders and chief priests, and that amidst all these things that he is going to be killed. And Peter rebuked him, saying, God forbid, Lord. This is typical of us. This is natural of us. The desire to rebuke pains, the desire to rebuke suffering on our loved ones, people we love so much. Jesus himself also cried against pains when he will say, my God, why have you forsaken me? Matthew's Gospel chapter 27 verse 46, fulfilling the cry of the suffering servant as seen in Psalm 22 verse 1. And at the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus cried, Lord, if it is possible, take this cup away from me. That is a cry not to suffer, a cry not to experience pain. But at the end of it all, he will say, let your will and not mine be done. This is seen in Luke's Gospel chapter 22 verse 42. Job's wife advised her husband Job in his sufferings, in his calamities, in his challenging moments, to curse God and die. And Job will say to her in reply, you have spoken foolishly. If we have received good things from the Lord, why can't we receive bad things from the Lord? This was the words of Job to his wife, as seen in Job chapter 2 verse 9. But amidst all these things that Job told his wife, further, if you read into the scriptures, particularly in Job chapter 3 verse 3, Job in his pains and in his sufferings cursed the day he was given birth to. He said, cursed be that day that it was whispered that a boy has been conceived. We all fear pains. We all don't want to suffer at all, because it is not a good thing to behold. We all have our experiences as human beings. We all have our challenges. Many have suffered tribulations. Many have suffered persecutions. Many have suffered because of their faith in Jesus. Many have suffered because of their belief in the person of Jesus. Many have been rendered homeless. Some have been killed. Some have been made orphans and widows. Some have been made homeless. Some have lost their jobs. Some have lost relationships in their families and their homes as a result of their faith, as a result of their belief in the person of Jesus. But Jesus is saying, even in the midst of all this, we should learn to take our crosses and follow him. Learn to persevere, learn to endure in suffering. That amidst our sufferings, amidst our challenges, that with him lies our victory. With him lies our salvation. For the many sufferings people have faced today because of their belief in Jesus, because of their faith, because of their ethnicity, because of where they come from, many of us have been crying, Wayo ya Allah. Wayo, wayo, ya Allah, wayo, ya Allah, jikukanmu, yara nakuka, manyamasu nakuka, wayo, ya Allah, jikukanmu. But even amidst the tears, the pains, the wounded souls, Jesus is saying, if a man wish to be a follower of mine, let him learn to carry his cross and walk with me. According to Victor Franz, that if there is meaning in life at all, there must be meaning in suffering. And because there is meaning in suffering, this is why Jesus is inviting us to carry our crosses and follow him. Because he alone is our salvation, he alone is our victory. And because there is meaning in suffering, when the suffering is genuine, when the suffering is for the sake of God, when the suffering is for the sake of Christ, this is why St. Paul will say, I consider that the present suffering is not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed. But we can only endure suffering, we can only endure persecution when we know the worth of that which we are suffering for, when we know the value of that which we are suffering for. And this is why St. Paul will say in Romans chapter 12 verse 2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may prove what the will of God is in your life, that which is acceptable, that which is good, and that which is perfect. For that is our Christian calling. Not every kind of suffering brings about the glory of God. Not every kind of suffering brings about the manifestation of the blessings of God. Not every kind of suffering leads us to a particular crown or a particular goal in life. And 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 15 reveals this reality when it reads, I suppose that none of you should suffer for being a murderer. None of you should suffer for being a thief. None of you should suffer for being a criminal. None of you should suffer for being a drunkard. None of you should suffer for any vice or any evil act. But let our suffering be for the sake of Christ. So for those of you who smoke, for those of you who are drunkard, for those of you who are drug addicts, your suffering is as a result of your being irresponsible. Your suffering is as a result of wanting to have pleasure in life. So if this is the reason why you suffer, then your suffering can never bring glory to the name of God. Your suffering can never bring glory to your family, but rather it will bring shame. To suffer is to stand for justice, to be the voice of the voiceless. To suffer is to learn also to forgive always, even when those whom you are forgiven are not ready to be or walk with you. To suffer is to be caused pains and injuries by evil men and women because of our trust and belief in the person of Jesus. To suffer is to live for Christ, as summarized in the Beatitudes, as seen in Matthew's Gospel chapter 5 from verse 3 to 11. Though you may face tribulations, though people may persecute you, they may speak all kinds of calumny against you on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. There are families who have suffered disgrace because of the waywardness of their children. As 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 15 will emphasize, St. Monica is a mother who suffered because of the waywardness of her son Augustine, but she carried him as a cross upon herself in praying for him, in fasting for him, and in doing so many other sacrifices for the conversion of her son. So we also can do the same for the conversion of those who are wayward in our homes. There is never a family without a cross. There is never a nation without a cross. That as families you have one or two individuals who are always giving you headache. Do not give up on them. Keep on praying for them, for they are your cross. As a nation, the irresponsibility of our leaders made them our own crosses. We must learn to keep on praying for them. We must learn to keep on praying for their conversion, for us to have a better society, for us to have a better government. The crosses we carry could be sickness. The crosses we carry could be calamities, not even as a result of our sins, as it was with the man in John's Gospel chapter 9 who was born blind. And the disciples, the Pharisees and the scribes asked Jesus, who sinned that this man was born blind? But Jesus said, nobody sinned, but that his blindness was to bring about the manifestation of the glory of God. Hence, the cross we carry in the eyes of men may look disgraceful, but I tell you, it is leading you to grace. It is leading you to a better future. It is leading you to a testimonial resurrection. The cross you are carrying is leading you to a testimonial resurrection if only we are ready to endure to the end. The journey of the cross is a journey of faith, of the things hoped for. The journey of the cross is a journey from grace to grace. The journey of the cross is a journey from nothingness to something. The journey of the cross is a journey of value, a journey of life. Remember, God does not allow you to carry a cross without the sufficiency of His grace to grace you on the journey. When God gives you a cross, He gives you a sufficient grace that will lead you to that journey. Hence, we must be brave enough in carrying our crosses for our own salvation. And this is why we must learn to sing unto Jesus in carrying our crosses, in surrendering everything to Him, like Jeremiah did in Jeremiah chapter 20 from verse 7 to 9. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. The cross before me, the wall behind me. The cross before me, the wall behind me. The cross before me, the wall behind me. No turning back, no turning back. I pray for the grace that we will learn to carry our crosses, because our victory lies hidden in the crosses we carry for our salvation.